There's a lot of stuff going on today in the news. Vic Ramaswamy is confirmed to be leaving Doge, and a little bit more about that controversy. And then we're also going to be talking about a little bit more in the Antioch High School shooter from Nashville. I'm not going to say his name, even though his name is revealed, because I don't want to give any more press to that. I think that one of the worst things that we could do is give them a platform for people to know and sort of get some sort of fame or infamy. Then we'll be talking about Donald Trump and some of the more huge changes that he's making. He's been doing a lot of things really swiftly, so we'll go more into that and how companies are removing their DEI policies, Amazon, and just a little bit more about that. And then I'll also be talking about Barack Obama. Apparently, he is having an affair with Michelle Obama, with one of the most famous actors of the 90s from probably the most watched, one of the most watched sitcoms, Friends. So he is rumored to be having an affair with Jennifer Aniston. That is really crazy. So we'll be talking about that and looking into that a little bit. And then I'll be talking about a few things that I'm thinking about starting a series called Freak of the Week or something like that. But a really crazy thing. There's a video of a nurse doing some horrendous things with her patient, as well as, and this is not, it is already weird, it is already messed up, but this is not anything that anybody's going to be interested in at all. It's not like something dudes are going to be interested in. It's pretty poor behavior. And then we'll also be touching on a few other things, going over the Roman salute again that Elon Musk is making the rounds for. And then also lastly, we'll probably end talking about this crazed guy that has been getting a lot of attention. His name is Brian Johnson. He's essentially the dude that is devoting all of his life. He's like got essentially a neuroticism for being immortal. So this is like the front runner, the influencer of the idea of AI immortality or becoming immortal through technology and all of the modern medicines. So we'll be talking about that and one of the weird things that he did with his son, which a lot of people are really grossed out about over on social media, reasonably so. So we'll get to that today. Now, this is the Roman Kenrick Show. My name is Roman Kenrick, and this is something that I'm starting right now. It's a daily show or maybe a weekly show. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm just I'm kind of in a stage where I'm experimenting with the content that I'm making right now, and I want to see how a show is received. So we'll see how this goes. If this goes well, then I'll keep doing it. I do think that, I stay pretty informed with what's going on, and it's good to have a place to come together where people are just discussing the things that are going on in politics and the culture and just participating in the dialogue. So that's what the point of this show is. If you like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, give it a like if you like the video at the end, and leave a comment on some of the thoughts that you have on what's going on in our world and in our society, and let's get a discussion going on. I'll try to reply to every single comment as I can. And so let's get started. So Donald Trump, he is fully president. He's been inaugurated and everything. And he's been doing a lot of changes really swiftly. And a lot of people are happy about that. And that's exactly why he was elected as president, because the American people want a president that is going to do something for the American people. And so one of the things that happened today, Donald Trump, a video is going around of Donald Trump talking about how he's essentially going to stop foreign aid. He's going to remove us from the climate change thing with the climate change deal with Paris, and so the Paris Climate Accord. And then he's ending some of the renowned climate change policies like the Green New Deal. And then he also just explicitly stated that the United States is going to be the leader of crypto and AI. So he really is taking a stance on making sure America is first, and a lot of people are happy about that. That is exactly what Americans wanted to hear. But here's a video of Donald Trump that is going viral on X right now.
Foreign aid freeze, and I created the new Department of Government Efficiency. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy. I declared a national energy emergency, and it's so important, national energy emergency, to unlock the liquid gold under our feet and pave the way for rapid approvals of new energy infrastructure. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it. Not only will this reduce the cost of virtually all goods and services, it'll make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto.
This is exactly what Americans want to hear. Americans just want to hear that the president, that the leader of America is thinking about Americans. And one of the key words that he just said in there, which most people would probably recognize, at least the people who voted for him, is that choice. He wants Americans to have the ability to choose what they are going to buy. And that's how the free market works. That's one of the reasons why Americans love America so much, because we are a capitalist society that believes in the free market, and people want things to be a free market. They don't want big corporations to impose policies and ways of living on the population just because they have that influence. So it's like, you have these big car companies that, because they're big car companies and they have all of the infrastructure and the ability to make the cars, they get to decide what cars they're going to make. And that's just not how it is. And we've been seeing, the market has been saying, hey, we don't want these cruddy electric cars. Now, when I was young and I was indoctrinated, and I'm from California, so I used to be super highly liberal. I really wanted to get a Tesla, and just that was my dream car when I was younger. And then as I got older, I was like, dude, these cars they're crap. They're just plastic and they're electric and they're zero fun. And as I got older, I fell in love with a lot of the older 1965 cars, specifically the 1965 Shelby. That's my dream car. That's the car that I want to get. It's a car that I want to spend a good portion of my life working on, as well as just driving and taking on joyrides and everything. And that's one of the things, like, to really stick on the cars right now. I think one of the beauties of the old generation, one of the things that they, aside from having access to good housing and everything, I think the older generation, they experienced a lot of the beautiful things, like getting in cars and going on joyrides out in nature and stuff, and working on their cars. Like some of the old Volkswagen Beetles, those cars are like the perfect cars to work on. You could essentially just manage that entire car yourself without ever having to go to the dealership. And the thing is that the American people are a DIY type of people, a do-it-yourself people. The American spirit is, we like to build things, we like to do things, and it's not like we're trying to build like this thing that is gonna take over the world and control everything and stuff, like this whole technocratic idea of like a society and everything. It's like we just like to tinker with things and build things. And some of the greatest companies and products that we have came from Americans who embody this spirit. And like I think of people like Steve Jobs and Apple, how they were just tinkering around with their electronics and everything and just having fun. And it went from this cool, awesome thing of young American boys having fun building new technology and then turning that into what it is today. But here's a comment from that video. This person says, the entire concept of global governance policies like the Paris Climate Accord are fundamentally anti-American by definition. The World Health Organization, the UN, the World Economic Forum, all of these violate the American principle of decentralized government. I couldn't agree more, and this is the reason why I zeroed in on this comment, because Americans are all about small government, less controlled. The order is this. It goes God, man, family. Everything is controlled in the household, and that's what the founding fathers wanted. The fundamental political unit, the base unit of politics was the family. And I firmly agree with that. At the individual has to have some sort of self-governance, and then the family has its own governing system. You have an organized, chaotic-free, taken from Jordan Peterson, a chaotic-free individual that has a structure internally, and then in their household, they have a managed household, a chaos-free household That's where it starts. If the home can't be orderly, then nothing else can be orderly. And instead of a top-down government system, the American spirit, again, the ethos of America is to have a bottom-up form of government system. Somebody replied to that comment and they said, not just the American, also the European. We did not vote for these people. They were installed by the globalist. And even European people don't like it. Maybe I do believe just godly people who believe in God, people who understand that there's a higher power and there's a higher purpose to the things that we do here while we're alive. They understand that there is a certain amount of freedom that God has just bestowed a certain amount of freedom to humans, and the human spirit will always have that. I firmly believe that the American spirit is the human spirit, and America is just the last bastion of this freedom spirit, wanting to create a world where people can be free and do what they want, have the land that, have ownership of their own property, a place to work on their cars, to build stuff and do things. I think Americans are just, they're tired of all of these organizations, these government agencies that are taking this, they're using these higher grandiose ideals as a way to take control of people's lives. It's like, don't you care about the planet? Don't you care about your children? And they sort of usurp these good-hearted ideas to just exert control over people. And Americans are fed up with that, and I'm fed up with that. And so I firmly, it's nice to see that, we have European people on the X platform expressing their sentiments about this, because they don't even want these institutions or NGOs having any sort of influence over their lives. So essentially, Donald Trump, everything that is happening right now, it's freaking amazing. I'm happy people are celebrating because it's truly an American first moment. It is Donald Trump's job. And before we get into the immigration stuff, I'm going to get there in a second, but it is the president's job to take care of Americans first, to look out for Americans and the country as a whole. And he's really showcasing this in what he's been doing in his first couple of days as president. And government agencies have been sending out a letter to the workers and to just agency employees, letting them know that DEI is essentially over. And so there's this tweet that is going around of the memo that is getting sent out to people. And the memo says this: Dear agency employees. So this one is specifically to NASA. Dear agency employees, we are taking steps to close all agency DEIA offices and end all DEIA related contracts. Now, I think the A at the end is like something to do with people accessibility, so people with disabilities. Contracts in accordance with President Trump's executive orders titled Ending Radical and Wasteful Government DEI Programs and Preferencing and Initial Recessions of Harmful Executive Orders and Actions. These programs divide Americans by race, wasted taxpayer dollars, and resulted in shameful discrimination. We are aware of efforts by some in government to disguise these programs by using coded or imprecise language. If you are aware of a change in any contract description or personnel position description since November 5th, 2024 to obscure the connection between the contract and DEIA or similar ideologies, please report all facts and circumstances to DEIA Truth at opm.gov within 10 days. Now, looking at the comments, apparently people have been seeing this memo being sent to all agencies. It looks like it's a copy and paste memo. And there's this really funny comment. This person says, at last, NASA can get back to doing what it should, getting us to space, advancing science, and making crazy space weapons for the inevitable war between Earth and Mars. And that's well said. Couldn't have been said better, especially for the X platform, where Elon Musk is at. So before I share my thoughts, just adding to this, apparently Amazon quietly removes protections for Black and LGBTQ people. So they remove those company policies. The thing is that a lot of people that are on the left that don't really understand the conservative Republican folks is that they assume that Republicans and conservatives just extremely, that we just hate these people. We hate people of color. We hate people with disabilities. And that's a misnomer. That's a straw man. Americans, the conservatives and Republicans, they truly and deeply care about America. And the thing is that in order for America to be strong, we need to take the strongest of the public and put them in the positions to lead the country. Now, I think a lot of the people on the left sort of they connect this idea of removing these policies to the idea of just leaving Americans behind, and just sort of just forgetting them. And that's not true. I believe that most Republicans, including myself, that we believe that if we take the strongest of Americans and put them in the companies that have the most amount of influence, and we just keep building America from the government to the so not obviously the idea of building doesn't necessarily mean growing. I'm not saying having some sort of gigantic government, gigantic corporations, but essentially just getting the best of the best to lead the country. That's that. If we're going to have something, if we're going to have a government, if we're going to have an organization, if we're going to have agencies or corporations, let's have the best Americans leading them and working for them. And because the idea of taking Americans that are sort of hindered and putting them in these positions of leadership where they're sort of struggling and they can't take America as far as it can go, that's just going to hinder the entire country as a whole. If we get the best of the best to take over leadership positions and to get jobs, then we have more resources and power to take care of all Americans as a whole. Because I guarantee my foster parents, they have a special needs child, or they have my foster parents, they have a special needs kid, and they dedicated their lives to him. They're good Christian Americans, and they would never just think about getting rid of their special needs child because that they're just really ill-hearted people. That's not how we are in America. We're really good-hearted people, both left and the right. The left just doesn't really understand how to manage their emotions and really understand the logic of things. They're just really quick to just assume the worst of people, especially Republicans and conservatives. So it is good that we have companies focused on not separating by race and separating by your sexual preference, that or gender, sexual preference, and all that stuff. That's ridiculous. It doesn't. The job of any organization, of any company, again, is to make it the best that it could be. Because the better that it could be, the more power, the more resources that an organization has, the more that everybody could be taken care of. Enough of that. It's sufficient to say that Donald Trump is doing a lot and people are really happy. Now we're going to talk about the Antioch High School shooter in Nashville. Now his name has been released, and the key thing here is two really key things to note is that he was live streaming on Kick. Kick is a popular streaming platform where a lot of the youngins hang out at. And it was crazy because he was live streaming essentially the act of doing this. And they were really slow and behind on figuring this out and banning him, but eventually he was banned. But the biggest thing to know about this was that apparently he wrote a manifesto where he was saying that his inspirations came from Candace Owens and people like Nick Fuentes, so Republican right-leaning commentators. And there were some images of him doing the Elon Musk salute, and there was just it is stated that he is a white supremacist. So he is a black male, but apparently he is a self-hating black male that wishes that he was white and wanted to go do essentially the bidding of extreme right people. This is according to mainstream news and mainstream media. But the thing is that it really just seemed like he was just, again, he's mad in the head. And when it comes to these people who do these things to our communities and to our schools, you know what I'm talking about. They just come from really bad families. And that's the thing, is that going back to what I said to earlier about the family being the fundamental unit and being orderly, just like Jordan Peterson says, he obviously comes from a house that was chaos, full of chaos. And we as a society, we cannot have families that are disorderly. We really need to we need to dedicate time to educating our country, educating people, young adults, people that are going to be parents about being understanding that their family is the fundamental unit of our society, and that so essentially, I think we need to bring God back. People need the country has been going down the deep end for a while, and we're seeing the rise of all the crimes, and big crimes like this, I believe, is a consequence of families just being devoid of God and being lost in the chaotic mess. So the thing is that that's why it's important for shows like these and shows from people like Matt Walsh, Candace Owens, and stuff. These people are really shifting the culture to a place where we are putting an emphasis on God and getting back our dignity as a people and as a society. So the only way to solve this problem is not to put restrictions on what people can buy. I firmly believe that the way to solve this problem is to just get closer back to God and to start building the morale of the country. But that's enough of that. I don't want to give that guy any more attention than he deserves. So, well, he deserves none. But Vivek Ramaswamy, he left Doge, and everybody was talking about a couple days ago about it was probably a little bit more than a couple days ago, but we're all aware of the H-1B visa rant that Vivek Ramaswamy went on. But there was this tweet that I noticed over on X, and it was this organization that said that they got confirmation from Vivek Ramaswamy that he left Doge because he essentially got kicked out. That's the word around the street, is that he got kicked out because people are just getting fed up with him. They don't think that he's on Team Donald Trump and Team America. And a lot of people were just really upset with him. And so apparently he is running for Ohio mayor. And that's another reason why he left Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency. I accidentally wrote DODG because I was thinking of the meme coin, which is really weird. But either way, Doge. And so according to this, according to I think it's Politico. Yeah, according to a Politico article, they were speaking with somebody from the Trump camp, and they said they wanted him out before the tweet, but kicked him to the curb when that came out, said one of the three people familiar with his departure. And then they continued to say a person close to Doge said Musk did not think it was feasible for him to campaign for office while working on Doge. Now, it does seem like the reality is that Vivek Ramaswamy he left Doge because he wants to go pursue being the mayor of Ohio. But at the same time, the rant that he said was about the H-1B visas he messed up essentially. It didn't reflect good on him and how he views the American people, and a lot of American people were reasonably upset. So this is a little excerpt from what he said in that H-1B visa rant. He said, the reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers, and if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zach and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Steve Urkel and Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Now, I'm upset by what he said. I think it's ridiculous what he said. The way to fix the problem is not to just import more people. That's literally just a replacement of Americans. Like he's pointing out the problem. He's saying there's a problem in American culture and what Americans look up to, especially the younger people. But then he's saying the solution to that is to bring engineers who will essentially not be like that. And that is an American replacement ideology, and that's stupid. That's not what the Donald Trump base wants. They don't want people coming in and saying, oh, hey, the culture is bad, and so now we just need to bring in other people that have better work culture. So hope you guys are okay with that. I hope you guys understand that. That's stupid. That's ridiculous. The thing is that This we could go on and talk about this for a very long time. Like one thing that we could talk about is how the people that are nerd math champions, like you just said, or Olympian math people, and super supremely computational geniuses, those people are not the best leaders. That's not a good example of, like, Steve Urkel is not also not the person that you should be aspiring to be. In fact, if you look at somebody like Donald Trump is not some brainiac quantitative Chinese guy that sits down at a computer and runs huge, ridiculous computations. There's a lot more to life than just raw computation and raw mathematical understanding. There's a lot more to that. There is more to the interpersonal skills, how to speak to people, how to how to communicate. That's redundant, but how to speak to a crowd, how to build relationships, how to negotiate, just like Donald Trump's Art of the Deal. And so the thing is that, you know, there are good things to the jock, to the person that is essentially what he said from Boy Meets World. These people that we look up to, the prom king and prom queen. The thing is that if you look at somebody like the prom king, or like let's say the captain of the football team, you can talk down about that person all you want, but the thing is that it is very clear that there are qualities that the captain of the football team has that most people want and understand is a really good thing for our youth to have. And like one of them is simply leadership and the ability to get people galvanized behind something and to take the group morale of people with the galvanization to complete a goal and win. And so essentially, like, this idea of saying we need these like Indian brainiac people that just sit down and look at computers and do raw computations all day. He's essentially saying that Americans just need to be robots. And that's not how American works. Again, going back to Steve Jobs, Americans are innovative, rebellious people that do things themselves. That's the American spirit. I don't think that this is really a problem of the culture. So I do think that culture is a problem. I stated this earlier, that the biggest problem is being devoid of God and having a societal cohesion and an understanding of what the founding fathers wanted or intended for this country, which is the family to be the fundamental political unit. And so we as Americans need to understand that every young American needs to understand that underlying idea of American. They need to grow up realizing that their role in this country is critical, as alone as yourself having your own self-governance, as well as being able to create an orderly home. So getting pair bonding with a woman or with a man, having a wife, having children, and creating an order for that. And the truth is that the only way to create an order that is cohesive is to have one fundamental understanding of what God is. And I believe that is Christianity. America is a Christian country. Now, I'm not going to try to revoke the idea of there being free people being able to practice what religions they want, but the religions need to be rooted in that same fundamental ideology for there to be a societal cohesion. And so that's the war that we're going in right now. That's the reason why there are political commentators that the people on the right that stepped up, conservative Christian political commentators or just American commentators, they stepped up because they realized that, hey, we need more people talking about these ideas and the fundamental ideals of America, and again, just really explain why these things are so important, why we conserve them, and why these traditions work. And so, yes, I agree that the culture has been going down the deep end, but I think it's shifting. It's shifting tremendously, especially with the Generation Z. There was the statistics showing that the Generation Z men, they are becoming increasingly more conservative versus like the millennial men. And so I'm a millennial, and that's true. But either way, this idea is just like what Vivek said is just tone deaf. Saying that we need to bring people from other countries because Americans have a bad culture, and he's really just saying we need a culture of bots to come in and work the way that the corporate overlords want them to work. All right, the next thing here up today is Barack Obama having an affair with Michelle with Michelle Obama are having an affair with Jennifer Aniston. And I saw this tweet. Apparently, Jennifer Aniston has turned off comments on her Instagram account after leaked DM confirms Barack Obama is leaving Michelle for her after affair. Or I guess apparently it's not true. So I'm not going to go too deep into Jennifer Aniston and Barack Obama having an affair. But because there's stuff like this that pops up all the time, this is just something that's going viral on X. And sometimes X is set up to just, get say sensational things to just get engagement. And this looks like it may be one of those things, although a lot of people are talking about it over on the Obama subreddit as well as mainstream news. So it's a very bizarre thing. At this moment, I don't know what is true, but if it is true that this is just another example of, it makes me think of Bill Clinton, and we all know how that went. So, things are crazy, and when people are leaders of a country, they definitely shouldn't be doing things like this. That's all I'm going to say on that. What I'm really interested in today is, I'm not particularly interested in this, but this is a video of a healthcare worker doing really, really it's really bad. You just have to look at it.
It's a video that's going viral of me, the healthcare worker that's dancing on top of her patients, but it's not what it is. Trust and believe. All I gotta say for now is angles play a big part, but we're gonna get into that another time. Okay? A lot of people in the comments talking about sex, just all type of dumb, non-verbal. Trust and believe. He's verbal, and if he's not verbal to his kins, then I don't know what's going on over there. But around here, he be verbal, and I got proof. What you said? I'll get my hug. You want to get a hug? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He looks very aware and comfortable to me, so y'all need to stop jumping to conclusions. Even though, yeah, I do see how you look, but trust me, it's not that. Enough is enough. Stay tuned.
Now, obviously, it's just entirely weird, and it's the type of thing that shouldn't be posted. Now, if this guy consents to that and he enjoys that, again, still, it's definitely not a thing that should be happening in a facility like this. It's unprofessional, and this is precisely the type of behavior that I was just talking about a few moments ago about the degradation of America. And, should she be fired over it? Probably not. I don't think that this is like specifically. I usually when it comes to people doing making errors in life, I typically don't think that firing them is the best course of action. When you take away people's ability to make money and survive economically, it can make things many times worse. So this is just another instance of American culture going down the gutter, and it should just help us realize, like, we really need to step up as a people. No matter where you are, you have to set the bar for how Americans should behave. And one of the things is, when I played football in high school, my freshman coach made us dress up in a suit and tie, or shirt and tie, dress shoes, slacks, everything, and then we had the jersey over it. And he said, the reason why we do this is because we are the football team, and people look up to us. People who don't play football, they look up to us. We are setting an example. We have the school's name on our backs, and we need to lead by example. That the rest of the school will sort of use us as a measurement. That if the football players were behaving poorly, weren't dressed nice, well, then it sort of invited this idea that other people couldn't do it. Whereas when you have people that are just, they're well behaved, they're well mannered, well dressed, that changes what is going on around you. It changes your environment, and so that is sort of the way that I take being an adult in this country. When I operate in this world, when I make a video, when I interact with people in the world, it is a reflection of me, my name, my family, but also our country. And so this is something that we just have to keep in mind. So if you're somebody who's watching this show, or if you're on this side of the war, of the culture war, you understand that it starts with us leading the way, and leading by example. The last thing that I want to talk about, I want to end it here. There were a few other things that I was going to talk about, but it's already, the show is already going really long. Brian Johnson, the anti-aging fanatic, this dude is super obsessed with living forever and maximizing his health. And I have nothing against people that want to optimize their health. But this dude is taking it to a next level, and he really can't handle the haters. And actually, people over on X constantly, they're like, dude, you're taking this too far. It's really gimmicky, and he gets really upset. He will post, he'll say, why do I have so many haters? Why do you guys hate what I do? And it's because he's sort of like trying to he's trying to again, he's trying to be this immortal person, and is really removing any sort of deeper meaning to what he's doing. It is merely just a mechanical process of just, what can I do to just last the body, to make the body last as long as possible. Not really what can I do with this body, what can I do with my soul, with my spirit, like what is the impact I can have on the world. And so he just keeps doing a lot of weird things. And one of the weird things that he did today, apparently, or that the news is talking about today, is that he has been tracking his son's private part data with respect to whether or not it found something attractive. So I'm not going to use the word, but he he's tracking the data of his son's things, and its reaction. So probably like in the morning, most men experience this, and so he's tracking that. And apparently, this is for health. And people are just, this is really weird. And obviously, that is really weird. Some of the comments say, like, Brian Johnson is just gross. Full stop. Everything he does proves he should be in a padded room. I think the biggest thing, so this really just shines light on the reason why people don't really jive with Brian Johnson, because he's too mechanical. And then it's just like, what is the purpose of living a long life if it is just raw data tracking and computation? And he just does things super extreme. And the whole point of living a long life, or living a life in general, is to live a good life and connecting with people, connecting with your family. And so I'm not going to hate on the dude. I think, it's one of the cool things about this world is that there are people like him who do things to the extreme, and we can sort of just observe and see what happens. But again, he's trying to build a brand around it. He has this brand called Don't Die, and people are jumping on. But if you're going to do something like that, if you're going to build a brand, if you're going to create a movement, then you have to be prepared for people to just call it out and push back against it. But that'll be it for today. This is the second episode of this show. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to give it a few more shots and see if people want to come and watch or listen. And yeah, and so if you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.